Good afternoon, senior parents. I commend you. Congratulations for walking your child from birth to where they are right now. Your presence doesn't go unnoticed and unappreciated. We would not be here without you. So, just congratulations on helping your child take their next step in their academic career. Um, we have on the line Mr. Burrows, we have Miss Howard, and we have Miss Wonder. So I will punt it over to Miss Howard.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I want to echo those congratulations that Ms. Yamofio shared. It's been a long journey, and we are finally here to the point where we're making decisions about your students' educational journey. So congrats again. I wanted to give two updates, and one of those is regarding SCORE. Of course, that's been our one-stop shop the entire year, you all letting us know where to send transcripts and letters of rec, and so on and so forth. So now that you've gotten, or your students have gotten those decisions back from their colleges that they applied to, we need those to be updated in SCORE. So there's a place for them to designate when they go under My Colleges, if they've been accepted, if unfortunately they were rejected or denied, and then of course, if they were deferred or not. So we want you guys to go ahead and update that so we can track it and keep up with that information. And then of course, you may have gotten some type of communication from the school. It could be tied to money as well. They're wanting final transcripts. Of course, that won't be available until they complete their classes this semester, but we won't know where to send their final transcripts if this is not updated. So you'll have the option, or they'll have the option of hitting enroll or enrolling in SCORE for that one college that they'll be attending. We can only send the final transcript one place. The second update is regarding the Happy List. So of course, the goal for class of 2024 was to get to $24 million in scholarships and grants. And I'm happy to say that they have already reached that goal and exceeded it. So round of applause for your students and their classmates. We are currently at $25.3 million in scholarships and counting. It's only March, so we have 2 months and I guess 3 days to get as much money as we can and track as many scholarship dollars that you all have been awarded, or your students have been awarded. So we want to see that number get as high as possible because, you know, we're breaking records and we want them to get the credit for all of their hard work. And then next, Mr. Burrows will give you another update about a special event coming soon.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Howard. So again, good afternoon. So the next thing I want to talk about is the College and Career Decision Day. It's another celebration for our students. So on this day, the whole student body will come down for AM assembly, where students can share, where they'll be matriculated to next year, whether that's a career, military, college, 2-year, 4-year. We do ask students to send a video clip or a photo. I can put that link in the chat for you all by April 19th, just so we can put all the videos and photos together so that we can show a presentation to the whole student body. This is a way to celebrate the current 12th grade, but also it encourages the underclassmen because they see, what the other students are doing. It was a big celebration for the student body and the staff. So again, I'll put the link in the chat. That's on May 8th, 2024. That is their last week of school in terms of classes. They will have finals week the next week, but last week of classes, it's just to celebrate them. And again, I'll put the link in the chat. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. And I will pass it on to Ms. Wonder. So Ms. Wonder is here from Gettysburg College. She's the Associate Director of Admissions. She's going to kind of tell you like next steps after your child gets accepted. I'm about to share her presentation now, and I'll let her talk more about herself.
Great. Yes, love talking about myself. Thanks, Terry, and thanks for having me. Excuse me, I am a little under the weather, so I'm very apologetic, but glad that this is a virtual program today. So I've been working for Gettysburg since 2018, almost since I graduated. And as you said, I'm the Associate Director of Admissions. I actually live in my recruiting territory, and I recruit Maryland, DC, and Virginia, currently living in Alexandria, Virginia, so not too far. But I do have a couple slides here for kind of the next steps. And I think the first thing, you can go on to the next one, by the way. The first thing is really just to celebrate. I mean, the decision day and all of that will be a great celebration, but really for every single acceptance that your child gets should be a celebration. It really shows all of their hard work throughout high school and outside of the classroom as well. So it's hugely monumental. So that's the first step. I would just celebrate each of these if there are multiple acceptances and make that a big deal for them. Obviously, then you're going to compare to make that final decision, compare financial aid, compare scholarship packages, and compare the schools, the opportunities, the value of each of those schools to make the right decision with and for your child, right? Where they're going to be the happiest and what makes sense for the family for the next 4 years or whatever that is. Then I would encourage, if you haven't visited the school yet, or all of the schools that they've been accepted to, try to do that. I know there's only a month or two before May 1st to do that, but if you are able to visit the schools that you have not yet, I would highly encourage that. That's the best way to get a feel for the campus and what it would be like for your student on that campus as a student. And then engage with the colleges and universities themselves. And this is especially helpful if you cannot visit, or if you already visited, take that next step and reach out to the people that will help address your questions. If you have any questions about the school, about the student life, the academics, all of that, don't hesitate to reach out to those contacts. And then the next thing would be kind of making that final decision. And after that, so we'll go to the next slide. So for a lot of you, I mean, money may be one of the biggest factors here. So you want to be able to understand the financial aid packages that you've received from these different schools. And this year has been such a headache, I know, with the financial aid and with FAFSA, and some schools have CSS profile as well. So hopefully you are getting some of these packages back. And I'm not a financial aid expert, but this is some general stuff to help you understand the package. But if you have more specific questions, please reach out to those schools individually, referencing your aid package. They have financial aid representatives ready to talk to you about that. But some of the general terms that you might see is gift aid. This is the best thing that your kid could receive. This is free money that you do not have to repay. Gift aid would include scholarships, merit scholarships, awards that might be athletic, academic, extracurricular, any kinds of awards. I've seen awards for visiting campus or interviewing, and they might be as small as $500. They could be as large as $45,000. But scholarships, awards, and grants are all free money. So you do not have to repay those. So you are going to accept those by default, and that's great. Loans you would have to repay, and so this is optional, but usually on your financial aid package, they will lay out any loans that you qualify for through the federal or sometimes just through a private personal loan. It's helpful to understand what is a subsidized loan versus unsubsidized. Basically, is that accruing interest or not over time? But you do not have to accept those loans if you don't want to. Obviously, that would postpone kind of some payment until after college for you or your student, but you would have to pay that money in the long run, and it could be more if it's collecting interest. Work study is something that you might see on a financial aid package. Basically, that's the opportunity for your student to work on campus, and that money that they earn goes directly toward paying for their tuition or room and board. Students do make a couple $1,000s a year working on campus, and it's not necessarily too much to balance that with their academics and extracurriculars. If you don't see work study on your financial aid package, your student can still work while in college. And they can put that toward their tuition. But work study on the financial aid package is an offering based on your financial need and what the college thinks would be the best option for you. Other costs to consider when you're looking at the financial aid package, because usually it will say the tuition costs, room and board, right? Because a lot of these are residential campuses. But also you might have to think about health insurance. Does your student already have private health insurance, or do you have to get it through the university, and how much does that cost? Is your college far away? So are there a lot of travel costs to get your student to and from campus? What about just the books and supplies and stuff for the dorm rooms if they're living on campus? So sometimes a financial aid will break those down and include like a ballpark cost, but these will probably fluctuate by college and by situation. Next slide. Thanks. So some factors to consider when you're kind of past looking at the packages and you've narrowed it down to a few colleges that are all great options, right? But you need to make that final decision and get down to the nitty-gritty, right? So you have, I would consider probably 3 most important buckets, right? And this is going to depend per student on your priorities. But academics, life on campus, if you're living on campus, and then outcomes. What does that college or university provide in all these 3 buckets? So if academics are really important, what is the class sizes? What is the students' access to the professors? Are they ever going to be able to ask questions? Are they going to be able to go to office hours or meet with that professor outside of class? What about advisors or mentors? Are they going to have an advisor? Are they going to have access to multiple advisors or mentors on campus? And at what point? Is that right away as they enter freshman year, or do they have to work to get their own advisor over the course of their 4 years? Is the curriculum flexible? And this is really important if your student is undecided or open-minded about what they want to study, right? Because if you're going into a certain major and then 2 years down the line, your student says, I don't really like that anymore. I want to change into something else, which does happen. How easy is it to change your major? So is the curriculum flexible? The research with faculty, if that's something that your student wants to do, is research prevalent, accessible to your undergraduate student, or are they really only opportunities for the graduate students on campus? Study abroad, how easy is that to do? How affordable is that to do? How many students study abroad? What programs are there? These are some of the questions, if you haven't asked and they're important to you, to go ahead and ask now at this stage in the process. As I said, if your student's going to be living on campus, what clubs, organizations, and leadership opportunities are there for them? And then also, are students staying on campus on weekends? Is it a majority commuter school or majority residential school where they're living in the dorms on campus? So what entertainment is there on campus for them to get involved with? Are there sports? Is there a lot of music going on? Those are kind of important things, really to help the overall experience and social life for your student. And then outcomes, obviously the most important here coming out of college, right? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to be prepared for the next step for graduate school, law school, medical school, whatever that means for your child? So how does the undergraduate college or university prepare your student for that next step? Do they have access to career prep? Is there a career center, and what do they do there? Do they have access to alumni or opportunities like internships and stuff like that? So those are kinds of the questions that you can be asking right now to the college or university reps and get those things answered. All right. So as I've been alluding to, if you have any questions of things that I've been talking about or things on your mind, here's how you can go about getting those answered. I'm a regional representative. I'm easy to contact via email or phone, or one of my colleagues on campus just as well. So go to the college website. You can find any admissions rep or financial aid rep and contact them. If you're visiting campus, obviously you can ask these questions in person. You might also have access to professors and students and staff while you're on campus. And by other staff, I mean that could be going to their career center in person. That could be dining hall staff, asking about the allergies that you have and whatnot, or what options are on the food rotations. Those are important questions. I ate lunch already, I promise. It's not just because I'm hungry. But you can also find information to contact professors and staff online too. So if you're not able to visit, once again, a lot of this stuff, their email addresses are online. So if you have those specific questions, those contacts and those resources are out there. So then you think you've chosen the one. This should be another celebration, right? The school that's going to be home for your student for at least the next 4 years, maybe more, should they have graduate programs. What you're going to want to do as soon as that decision is made is pay your enrollment deposit. I know that doesn't sound super fun, but it should not break the bank. These deposit amounts may differ depending on the institutions, and these are due May 1st. So typically you're going to do this in your student's applicant portal or admit portal through the college or university directly. So you may need to help your student to do this, or they may need you to kind of do this together and make that deposit in their portal. But again, if you have questions, just contact the institution directly. They'll help you do that. You're going to want to finalize the financial aid aspect, either accept or not accept the loans, for example. Usually that is a choice. So get that all finalized and wrapped up and have that final number in your head of what it's going to cost per year. Then you can start looking into payment plans and things like that. Monitor your email, and this is more for the students because I think more things will come to the students. The biggest thing I hear is that as a student graduates high school, their high school email shuts off. So it may be a good idea to give that school a new personal email address to use so that they don't miss anything. It will also happen sometime in the summer that they get a new college email address. So again, monitoring that one as well so they don't miss anything. Monitoring the student email is really important so they don't miss any of these next steps and deadlines. what happens next typically, and typically this is after May 1st, after they've made their final decision, but the student will get access to a first year dashboard, a freshman dashboard, a first year portal, something like that, where they will start getting ready for the fall. Kind of these orientation type things, choosing their courses, choosing housing, a roommate if they have the option to do that, putting in contact info, payment plans, taking placement exams sometimes, right, for foreign language or those hard science courses. So you place into an upper level where it's fit. Those types of things start happening in the early summer to midsummer so that you're ready to come to campus. And as your counselors already mentioned, you'll want to send the final high school transcript once that is finalized. And keeping up the good work in school is a really good idea because the colleges do look at that final transcript. I've been on several years of committees of that, and it is not fun to reach out to a student and basically say we might have to rescind your admission because we're a little concerned here that you're not in a good space anymore. So it's already March. Hopefully you're doing well this semester so far. So just keep up the good work and be in the right space for college. All right, so that's what I got formally, but I'm happy to ask or answer questions if you have any.
Thank you so much for that concrete and informative, those next steps. So thank you so much, Maddie. I do see a question. A parent asks, how successful are appeals to merit scholarships? How successful are appeals to merit scholarships?
That is a great question. And I was going to write something about appeals on this presentation, but I thought, I don't want to necessarily encourage appealing because the answer to that question is truly, it depends. I think when you say merit, you're implying that in your case, you don't have necessarily a financial need that would justify a higher scholarship or a better financial aid package, right? So that's kind of situational. I think you can always try to appeal, even if it's for a small amount, a small merit increase, right? But you may only see a couple $1,000 increase or nothing at all. It really depends on that college or university's stance on things, how much they think that they need the numbers that year, right? Like how much they need that class and those students. But you really don't have much to lose there. It's not like they're going to rescind your admission for filing an appeal. So you can for sure try on that merit-based appeal. My recommendation there would be maybe submitting most updated transcript. Perhaps when your student applied, they only had through junior year and maybe no senior year grades, or maybe only first quarter senior year grades. It could be helpful in that appeal to submit updated senior year grades or SAT or ACT scores that the school didn't have before, because obviously those would make the merit kind of more substantial to have there. But the appeals question is a good one. A lot of times the colleges or universities will make it more need-based rather than merit-based and say, okay, well, you don't really qualify for more on the need-based side. So they're more about your financial situation.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of financial aid, just because the FAFSA has had some hiccups, is it true that students don't know what their need-based aid would be quite yet, but they know the merit-based aid?
So that depends, but overall, yes, because most colleges don't have FAFSAs downloaded yet. Like as of earlier this week, we had gotten one FAFSA from the federal government. As of today, we had over 600. So they're now coming in, but that means that our current financial aid packages were only based on the CSS profile that we had, but some schools don't even require the CSS profile. So they were giving financial aid packages based on the net price calculator or a short form that they created themselves. So they were giving kind of conservative financial aid packages up until now. So now that we're getting FAFSAs in, our financial aid offices are probably going to be repackaging everyone in the next few weeks and giving out new updated financial aid packages. So yes, this is what's going to kind of prolong the decisioning a little bit, but luckily it's only March and there's still a bit of time.
For sure. Thank you for that. Someone asked, are merit scholarships typically based on weighted or unweighted GPAs?
That depends on the college as well. Typically colleges will favor weighted GPAs, but sometimes they have their own scale. They standardize all GPAs because all high schools are different in their GPA scales. So that depends on the college or university. So you just have to ask them.
Okay, great. Thank you. Given the challenges with the FAFSA and delays in financial aid letter, it seems like timing for acceptance is off. Should students wait to accept until they get all the financial aid letters? Then someone asked to follow with that. What happens if they accept, but then later get letters from schools and need to change their decision? How do schools look at this?
So it would be my personal recommendation to wait until you have the updated financial aid packages. Because you have until May 1st, there's really no rush to get your decision done right now. You really do have a month and a half. So that would be more of my personal recommendation. However, there could be incentives through your colleges or universities to accept the offer now. And I'm just putting that out there because maybe housing is low, or you get preference on courses or preference on first-year seminar or roommates or whatever. There could exist those incentives out there to make your decision now. But I would personally wait so that it doesn't get messy, so you have all your kind of papers lined up with the final financial aid packages there to compare. I hope that's an okay answer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. A few more, and then we're going to wrap it up. What happens if you commit to a school, pay your deposit, and then change your mind? Can you request a refund?
Yes, you can, but typically the deposits are non-refundable. So they may not honor that. They may not refund you. Other than that, nothing bad is going to happen. It is best to obviously wait and make your final decision, and that's your final decision. But things happen. Students get taken off the wait list after May 1st. And during the summer, and there are shifting around. You can definitely reach out to try to get that deposit back, but it's usually non-refundable, so they might say that.
Okay, got it. It says our FAFSA process, but the college said their software has to be updated to match the new FAFSA, so packages won't go out until mid to late April.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just corroborating that. Cool.
Yeah, that's true.
What happens if you need to make a correction to the FAFSA for the net worth? We were told we have to wait until the FAFSA is processed before we can go out to make corrections. If it's already sent to the school, will the corrections get sent, the updated information to the school?
If you have, for that specific question, I would contact the school. if there are multiple maybe, but contact the college or university directly, because it sounds like